Hey, welcome to episode number 174 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We're recording on August the 21st, 2022. My name is Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, can't talk tonight, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witness an over-reliance on emergency services, started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
I'm Alan. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, and overall safety nerd. And between you not being able to talk to my dog barking in the background, we're off to a great start.
That's all right.
I'm Scott, a first responder from Ontario. I like learning things and I worry about our fragile infrastructure.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
Want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air? Buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds keep the lights on and help keep the backup wood gas fire fueled. You know you can't give me that blurb without me doing that. Come on.
This is true.
And if you are enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook, submit a review on iTunes. We also want your feedback, good, bad, or even if there's just a topic other than wood gasifiers you want us to cover. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some illuminating content for you in this episode. We're going to start off as usual with some news articles. We're going to update you on our preps since our last episode. Then we're going to get into the main topic. We're going to be talking about flashlights and batteries this evening. So let's move into the news.
I put two articles in here, one from USA Today. They put an article up about survival gardens, which will help people survive among rising inflation. We used to call these victory gardens, and that was back in Scott's day. And then before that, they were just gardens. So the article kind of goes in a little bit more detail about, can you actually save money doing this and some of the basic tools and some of the basic setups depending on the space that you have. So that was, I found that one kind of interesting. And the other one that I found was from Outside Magazine, and it was their best wilderness survival strategies based on a review of 103 occurrences of successful rescue.
Great. Well, I've got an article in here from, if I can find my spot in the notes, there we go, from the Toronto Sun. It's titled, What is Emergency Preparedness? I know, right? But I figured but it's actually, I don't want to say decent article, but I like a couple of things in it. So
it was sourced somewhere else. It was sourced somewhere else.
Had to have been, and then just reprinted by the Sun, almost guaranteed. You know what? Just move on. I'm not touching on it anymore. The title is, What does emergency preparedness actually mean? And just a couple of quotes from the article. The official definition of emergency preparedness is actions taken prior to an emergency or disaster to ensure an effective response. Or they go on to say a layperson's definition would be make bad things less of an unknown. Strategically, emergency preparedness tries to reduce the amount of panic and randomness in human behavior when disaster occurs. So just thought there were some good definitions, and they fit quite well with the podcast. So,
well, it's also kind of nice that the rest of the world is catching up to the way we think.
This is true. I don't know if the Sun's the rest of the world, but
you are seeing a lot more articles around of kind of mainstream media, whatever, saying, we don't know what's going to happen. And they're doing stories on people having gardens and all that stuff. And so, like Scott says, they're way, way behind the times, but at least it's getting some traction now finally. So,
well, and the more prepared that your neighbors are, the better off you are, right? If your entire neighborhood, everyone can feed themselves from their gardens, life carries on fairly normally.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your definition of normal. Right, Jeff, you got an article?
Yeah, I just threw one in here. We talk about this frequently, and our nice supply chain issue. The United Kingdom Their dock workers have decided that now would be an appropriate time to go on an 8-day strike. So no unloading or loading of ships, nothing going in and out. I mean, I guess if you're on one side of it, now's the time to do it, to try and put the heat on to get more of what you want, but you're only going to continue to hurt your own people. So, yeah, be prepared for more supply chain issues.
Great.
That's swell.
Yep.
Yeah, just
Real
fabulous.
excited about that. Yep, that's just awesome. Scott, any news articles for you?
Yeah, there's a bit of a solar flare CME event that's been going on. So you might start noticing some differences in radio propagation, some more of the northern lights. In terms of the sun's solar cycle, we keep hearing that it's starting to ramp up, and we're starting to see proof of this. I don't think this one is a risk of causing any serious damage, but that doesn't mean the next one won't be more of a problem. So that's one that's sort of
it's certainly been screwing with ham radio the last couple of days. I'll tell you that much. But I think I'm the only one on the panel that's going to get mad about that.
So in terms of what I've done lately for preps, just to embrace my inner radio nerd, I got a couple of new little handhelds that I'm excited to play with. Trying to get some comms up in amongst my my local mag so that we can all chat easily.
Nice.
I've built a couple of Faraday bags. I've over the years ordered one or two from some from Rapid Survival, a couple other places online. I've tried making boxes, and I find it's really hard to get a good seal in the box, just in terms of doing the kind of Bluetooth headphone test. And the bags seem to just seal so much easier. So I decided to make a large bag that would fit inside the Pelican box that I had for some radio equipment and stuff. And it worked out quite nicely. So it's a double layer bag that seems to be doing the trick. Check the website after an EMP and I'll let you know how it worked.
What material did you use?
Sort of a one of the nickel copper polyester fabric sheets. You can sort of just get sort of online in about 48 by 36 inch pieces, give or take. So I kind of doubled it up, folded it over so it fits in a medium-sized Pelican box quite nicely. I put some waterproof canvas on the outside of the bag, just sort of sewed up the seams, a bit of Velcro. Basically modeled it after the professional bag that I had, and my next one I'll make some other little tweaks and improvements. I had a really neat conversation with one of my coworkers who is restoring an old VW Bug. I would love to restore an old carbureted pickup truck, but this friend who's restoring the Bug was sort of saying there's a whole community. Bugs were made to be easy for a regular person to repair, and you can still get parts for Bugs from the 1970s. Like they're still made in Brazil as production. So all of a sudden it's kind of pivoted my thinking to, if that's going to be a first project car for me, maybe rather than jumping into a pickup truck, start with a VW Bug, because I think there's an entire community of people that are into rebuilding them and getting parts and sharing that knowledge. And anyway, it was just a really interesting aha moment that I enjoyed. I also met one of my neighbors that I hadn't met. So just in terms of expanding my local knowledge, and sort of wandered over. There was a bit of a fire going, so it was an excuse to go and say hello. And just a scheduled burn. Don't worry, the carbon monoxide wasn't too bad. Anyway, but just in terms of getting to know the people around you, that's I think an incredibly important part of building your local mag is just knowing your neighbors. So yeah, I think it was a productive week that way.
Well played with the carbon monoxide. Well played.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically,
I had nothing to do with that.
So we're in the they have this horse stable, and there's a chirping. I'm like, does your smoke alarm need some attention? She's like, well, we got the fire going outside, so I had to turn it off so it stopped spooking the horses. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
So I did a little bit of fuel rotation. I was doing some yard work today, and thankfully paying a little bit of attention. As I'm cutting the grass, I'm like, why are there all kinds of these bees buzzing around this certain specific area of the lawn? And I go over to find I don't think they're bees. I think they were yellow jackets, but they had a fairly substantial in the ground nest. So I stayed away from them, didn't get bit, and emptied about a half a can of Raid on them. And I think they're more or less gone for now. I'll check tomorrow, but just one of those things that you're not paying attention and you run over something like that and they go in full attack mode. It cannot work out well if you've got any kind of an allergy or even if you just get stung 100 times, it's not going to be pleasant.
I can
attest. Thomas J.
I had a patient recently who didn't quite have the situational awareness that you had, Jeff, and fared very poorly as a result, and was probably one of my more serious patients that week. So, a lot of drugs to keep things where they should be.
Well, for myself, thankfully, no wasps for me. I reorganized all of my portable ham gear, so it was kind of getting strewed all over the place. There was bits and pieces here and other bits and pieces there, and then some of it in the truck and some of it back here in the closet. So pulled it all together, put everything according to which radio it actually goes with. I've got one of those little Nimbot label makers. Fantastic. If anybody's thinking about grabbing one, very, very handy. Labeled everything up, got it all organized. It's now packed away in little bags, smart bags per radio or per device or per cable setup, and all nice, neat, and organized for probably the next day and a half. And then it'll, of course, get all mixed about again. But at least for now, all together. For those of you on the Discord server, I spent some time kind of getting it reorganized a bit and made the verification process a little bit easier. So I've heard from a few that it was getting a little bit confusing, and I can see why now. So I've made it pretty straightforward. So if anybody's looking to hop on the Discord, it's just a little green check mark now, and then you get access to everything. So that was it for me.
And once I take myself off mute, I can tell you that I got a smartwatch to count steps, which is pretty cool. I've never had such a thing before. I managed to get in about 12,000 today, which was maybe a little excessive, but it's really interesting to kind of see my day over day, and it kind of gives me a little buzz, remind me to get up and move around when I'm sitting at my desk and all of those things. Other than that, I spent a lot of time working and traveling for work. Actually went to a movie theater for the first time last night since before the beginning of COVID. Saw Top Gun, which was actually pretty cool. It was at least as good as the original. So take that as the way that you will. Last week, I actually made a contact on my 2 meter truck radio while I was driving down the 401 in Southern Ontario through a 6 meter repeater, and was able to talk to Western Australia. And I thought that was pretty neat. To a Canadian, of all things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's Canadian. He's in Australia. He has, he runs a net a couple of times a week, which was pretty interesting. And it rebroadcasts on a couple of local repeaters. So it's at like 9:00 my time. So if I ever happen to be in my truck, because my base station isn't set up yet, but I can jump on that. Did get a couple of accessories for my handhelds. Got a kind of a shoulder mic, and I ran into some comms issues with my search and rescue team on an exercise 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I got like a 3-foot antenna that screws into my Baofeng, so I can extend my range up a little bit. Other than that, I've mostly just been working. I've got a lot of training coming up over the next few weeks, and that's about it for me.
So we're just going to retitle this episode Ham Radio episode, and away we go.
Boy, I wish we'd thought of that before. I mean, we've never done that.
Oh, it's good to see everybody's preps included communication this week. That's good. It's an important piece, right? So, well, with that, how about we move into the main topic? It doesn't have to do with ham radio, but I guess maybe it could. If the lights are out and you're trying to fix your radio, you're going to need a flashlight, and you're going to need some batteries in order to power said flashlight. So we thought that we would make episode 174 all about flashlights, batteries, and kind of what we think about them, how we kind of use them in our preparedness. And yeah, we're going to just talk all things flashlights and batteries tonight.
So first off, I'm going to say that flashlights are like guns. You can never have too many.
This is
true. It doesn't matter. And flashlights are also like car horns. There's never one around when you want one. So, I'm a big fan of having plenty of flashlights and having them strewn throughout the entirety of God's green earth, so that I can find one when I want one. I'm also a big fan of standardizing, so using the fewest number of battery types, which makes for better use of resources.
Absolutely.
As I got into learning about search and rescue, I learned that most of the flashlights that throw a lot of light out use 18650 batteries. So 18650 refers to a specific size and voltage. There are all kinds of, there's 2 or 3 different standards to describe batteries. So we're all pretty familiar with like the AAA battery, for example. It has like 3 or 4 other designations that mean the same thing. There's an LR designation, there's a numerical designation, there's usually a letter designation.
Of course. Keep it simple, right?
When I was a teenager, I actually worked at a store in a mall. It was a chain. It was called Battery Plus. So I actually learned a lot about how batteries work. Now that was before lithium ion, right? Those were like our choices were like lead acid, nickel metal hydride, and there's a third one that I now can't remember, because everything is pretty much everything is lithium ion now. So what I like about the 18650 batteries, they are cheap, they're easy to find, they last forever. They hold a charge really well, and I have 10 flashlights now that all take these 18650 batteries. And there's an adapter that usually comes with them. Well, at least all the ones that I bought on Amazon, that comes with it, where you can actually plug 3 AAA batteries into this adapter and run the flashlight with it. So if I manage to run out of I think I have 14 of these batteries now between my kit and my wife's. If we manage to run out of all of those, we can fall back to AAA batteries, and then I've also got some AAA flashlights as well. That again, it's about using the same battery for everything, so I can stock more of one thing and make it more versatile.
Yep.
A couple of other things I wanted.
50s rechargeable, Alan?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. They look like a big AAA or a big AA battery. They're a little bit longer than a C cell, a little bit bigger around than a AA, but not as big as a C or a D. All of my lights have come with a charger as well, so I think I have 2, 4, 6, or 7 flashlights now that take 18650 batteries, 10 maybe. I get a little spacey when I start ordering things on Amazon, and a bunch of stuff shows up a couple of days later and I have no idea what it was, but I get a lot of batteries. So I have like 3 or 4 chargers. And so I've got 12-volt chargers, and I've got USB chargers, and I've got wall plug chargers. And what I like about the USB chargers is I can plug them into the either the console of my truck if I'm running that, or fold open the solar panel on the dashboard or on the on the bed of the truck, and charge the batteries during the day so that they're ready to go for nighttime. So that's one of the things I like about them, and they so they're all rechargeable. They're lithium ion. I've got a couple of like waterproof cases for them so that, because especially when you're out searching, everything gets wet, like really, really wet. Even if it's not raining, somehow your things still manage to get wet. So I keep everything in plastic baggies, or in this case, I keep them in. I like to keep them in hard cases that are padded so that they can't touch each other and short out. A couple of things to touch on. Most flashlights are not intrinsically safe, which means they will actually throw off an external spark or generate static electricity. So if you're doing something like looking for seeing if the gas, if you've got a gas leak in your basement, make sure that what you've got is intrinsically safe. So the things you buy on Amazon, probably not. Two brands that I know make intrinsically safe lights are Pelican and Streamlight. I imagine Surefire does. Actually, I know Surefire does as well. But just make sure that something is safe and sealed before you use it in a potentially hazardous environment. Like around a wood gasifier or whatever, because they're all capable of putting off a spark. There are a few different options for the light source, right? LED is probably the standard now. I think most lights are now LED. You can still get some of the old school like mag lights that have a halogen bulb in them. They tend not to last as long. The LEDs are, they take less power to run. They are brighter. They last longer, but they run on a chip. So if an EMP is part of your big worries in life, then go find the old school mag lights, because they have they still run on halogen and no electronics. So that's I have one more flashlight, and actually I might just turn on my camera and show off this. Turn on my camera instead of turning off my microphone. This one here, I got a Princess Auto like 10 years ago. It runs on little LR44 button cell batteries. So it's just got a little tiny opening in the back and something that just fell out. But the thing I really like about it, so it's LED. I don't have batteries in it right now, but it has a little magnet on an extension rod, so I can shine the light on the thing that I dropped and then pick it up. I think this cost me about $9 at Princess Auto, and it's at least 10 years old, and I have no idea if it's still available or not, but I enjoyed that one. That was one of my favorite lights.
It's utterly brilliant.
That is.
It is. Also, Melissa, I don't want a liter of cola. I want a large Farva.
Oh, fantastic.
Or the other way around. I keep forgetting which one. I keep screwing that up. But I think we've decided the mustache is here to stay.
So. Yeah. He wants a liter of cola.
That's right. He wants a liter of cola.
I don't want a large Farva. I want a goddamn liter of cola. Yeah. Sorry, I could quote the whole movie. I'm sorry.
I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the point of having all consistent battery types across your flashlights that also power other things in your kit. So making sure that things are consistently all AA, AAA. The 18650 with the case holder, great idea. I had a flashlight that had that with it, and it was awesome, because there'd be times that it'd be out for hours on end, and that 18650, if it dies, at least you got some backup AA's you can put into that case, slide it back into the flashlight, and then you're back in business. So it's good, and it's not something that people always think about either, right?
Especially if you're standardizing amongst your team, right? So whether that's your mag or people you work with or whatever, it happens all the time where my battery will die. I can just go to the guy on my left and say, hey, can I grab an extra battery from you? And because we all use the same battery types, we can just swap it out, and then he's got a dead battery for me to recharge, and I take his battery and I recharge it. And I forget who it was that we were talking about it with. It might have actually been Pierre, who has has actual USB plug 18650. So it takes just a mini USB plug. I don't have any of those, but I think those are pretty awesome.
I might know a guy that can get them.
It's power on the go, right? You can if you've got a solar panel or whatever, right? It's power on the go. So I like that. I love that concept.
Yeah, they're handy.
And they come in AA, AAA varieties also. I love being able to just plug a USB cable right in. Makes it so much easier without having to have that, especially if it's a proprietary charger. That just makes life so difficult.
Yeah, again, standardizing all your things, right? Because chances are you're going to have other USB devices with you that you want to charge. So if you can find a flashlight that uses that same type of connector, then great. You can charge that device that you have. You can charge a flashlight. Or even if you're looking to charge that other device and it's not the same, at least all you need to carry with you is another cable. Chances are it's going to be like a USB-A at the charging end, and then you can plug in your different devices to charge them up. So it's always about making your devices or the things that you're carrying with you multi-purposed. So.
Well, like I've got a couple of headlamps I got at sale in like $15, and they're all USB chargeable, so I can just I can plug it in my truck. I've got, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 of them because again I just buy them a lot because two is one is none, and 4 is almost enough sometimes. But I can keep a couple of those in my truck, and then I get stuck on the side of the road at night, and I've got something right there that I can that I can work with. And I mean, I love headlamps. They keep your hands free. They put light exactly where you're looking, which is nice. As long as you're not trying to look at people and talk to them, it's not
It
so
depends
bad.
on whether or not you want them to see you or not, I suppose.
Well, and in my case, like I'm taller than most people, so I'm usually lighting up the top of their head if I'm wearing a headlamp. But
that could work to your advantage in certain situations.
Absolutely, it could. But I've got my first foray into 18650 batteries was a headlamp. It's got like nine different settings on it, and it'll blind you from a quarter mile out. Yep. Great headlamp for breaking bush at night. Would hate to be on somebody looking at me while I'm wearing it. But I've also got those little LEDs in there. I've got red LEDs. They've got a red LED in them, and they've got the whites, and they just plug in. And I think they charge them about 20 minutes, and it'll last all night for what you need it. So that's it's another thing to look for, is right, even just a sealed unit that has an external charger.
Yeah, let's touch on that for a second. Just the fact that you can get flashlights with different colors associated to them. So everybody always thinks about just the bright white light, but getting a flashlight with a red light in it is going to assist with not messing up your night vision at night. So you can still see what's going on. You can still illuminate things in front of you, but it's not going to break up your night vision where you have to readjust again to being out in the dark. So,
and especially
very handy to have.
Especially if the red light has a dimmer function, so you can turn it down to near nothing. You see enough that you're not tripping over something, but your night vision is perfectly intact. Yep. There are also other flashlights that have different colors. For example, green. If you're working medical and you're looking for blood, having a red light doesn't help you any. Nope. So you don't want to kill your night vision with a bright white light, but you need something other than red. So
green just makes blood show up. Yeah, like it just makes it glow. Purple does the same thing. Yeah. Just one of the things to be aware of if you're going to use a colored light, if you're doing something like navigating, if you're trying to read a map, I learned this one the hard way. If you're using a red light and you're trying to follow a red line on the map, the red line disappears. So you got to be kind of conscious of what you're doing with that. Because I was trying to follow a road. I was lost in the middle of Quebec in the middle of the night and didn't want to blind my driver. So I had a red light, and I was trying to follow a map, and like I think I see where I think we should be, but there's no road here, so I have no idea. And then like something's wrong. So eventually I said, fine, like I'm just gonna shield it, and I'm gonna turn it to white, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the road right there. So just be aware that it will wash out light colors. So if you're looking for something that's green, don't use a green light. If you're looking for something that's red, don't use a red light.
Yep. Well, all good points. Another thing to keep in mind with even just picking a flashlight is size and weight. So there are all kinds of different sizes. Adding more batteries obviously is going to add more weight. Even just the flashlight itself, what it's made out of, will make it heavier or lighter, depending on the material that's used. So something to keep in mind when you're putting your pack together, especially if you're going to throw like 10 flashlights in it, the weight adds up pretty quick.
Yep. 3D,
Well, once you throw
3D
the
cell
10
mag
flashlights
lights.
and the 20 can openers, you got nothing left, eh?
I think that's one thing I
yeah.
don't have is a flashlight can opener.
We should probably make one.
I
Oh,
think
we're gonna have to now.
Yeah.
We'll throw the logo on it. We'll put it on the online store.
Actually, I just bought I bought a knife at sale. Probably should have gone in my what did I do lately for preps. I bought a knife at sale that had a bottle opener in the tang, and and a window breaker. So it was
Nice.
anyways. Yeah, like way back when I was a rent-a-cop, we used to carry like the 4C cell or 4D cell mag lights, because if I
Look at
were
that.
to accidentally drop it, it would be really easy to find. That's why, of course.
Yep.
It had nothing to do with being a tool of opportunity for self-defense, but it was they're great, right? They certainly do the job. You can swing it with some weight behind it, allegedly break some windows, although I don't have any direct knowledge of that.
No idea.
But at
It
the
was
same
accidental. I
time,
dropped it.
holding carrying that on your belt for 12 hours a night is rough, right? That's a lot of weight. So
It's a lot of weight you don't
have to-
realize
you
until you
definitely
take it
have to
off. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. You don't realize that I've been walking in slightly left circles because I was wearing it on my left hip.
Yep.
But some lights. Here's another one. This is another 18650 light. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's got kind of a wave to the bezel on it, which is allegedly designed to help an impact. Never tried it, but I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that. Get blinded by the light and then smacked in the face with something that's aluminum and kind of pointy. That would kind of suck. So
I'm sure it would.
yeah. But what's the old rule? Anything harder than your face is a weapon. So
yeah, that sounds about right. Some other things to keep in mind with flashlights, since we're talking about batteries and such, storage concerns. So if you're going to be storing flashlights like out in your vehicle, or say in a cabin that's not going to be heated for a certain period of time, or even where the heat gets really high, so again in a car or cabin or something that's not conditioned, those batteries, you're going to want to make sure that A, they can withstand that type of heat, or B, that they are not in said vehicle or area, because they can cause some problems, or it could cause them to malfunction and not operate when you actually need them.
And or take the batteries out for storage so that should they start corroding,
That too.
you just replace the battery. You're not sort of damaging
Replacing
the
the
equipment.
whole light.
Yep.
I was just going to say I don't keep my batteries in my flashlights except when I'm going to use them, for that exact reason. Something gets corroded, you might be able to scrape it clean, but for the most part, you're just going to be writing off that light and the batteries. Whereas I find if I take them out of the flashlight and I keep them separate, I like to keep them in plastic bags so they don't roll around. Or with my 18650s, I keep them in a hard case. I've never had a problem with them corroding. They have a tendency to wear out, like they have a tendency to expire before they corrode that way.
Denny's got a good point in the live chat. He says, if you are going to leave your flashlights in a vehicle or elsewhere, or even regardless, I think it doesn't really matter where you're going to leave them. Check them once a month. Make sure they work. I know that's a rare thing for us to suggest on this podcast, to check your gear and know how to use it. But hey, episode 174, we're finally going to say it.
We're finally getting around to the part where you should check your gear before you rely on it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're finally getting there. But yeah, great point. Make sure that you're checking your lights and making sure that they're operating as you expect them to, because you don't want the first time to realize there's a problem be the time that you actually need some light.
Absolutely.
Great point there, Denny.
What was your definition of emergency preparedness from your news article?
Making bad things less scary.
I think it fits right in there. Look at that.
Absolutely. I think in the same vein as flashlights, we should give the little dotted lights from I think it was 3M that used to make those, and I know there's a million knockoffs now. But the little battery powered lights, they have a little sticky on them. They take you to AA or AAA, and you can put them anywhere and just kind of push the button
Oh, you
push
click
the
them?
light and
Yep.
it turns on, turns
Yep.
off. Yeah, I think those deserve it. Those deserve an honorable mention. It's
Absolutely.
part of
Yep.
our plan to have them in the bathroom, so that if the power goes out, I can just, if it's, just above the light switch, because I go in, I hit the light switch, and if I miss it, then hit the light switch, nothing happens. I just hit the dotted above, and I've got at least enough light that I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah,
in the
I've
the
got
darkest room of the house.
I've got exactly that. It's an LED. It's got a magnet
Yeah.
on the back, so it'll stick on. It's got a hanger. It'll hang up. Same thing. It's just got the button on the front of it. You just turn it on, turn it off. It's
Look at
A couple of those. Leave those in the places where you kind of need them the most.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got one stuck right on the. I put a little piece of metal on the wall just inside my front door, and this one sticks right by the front door, so I know exactly where it is. I come in, there's no power. I can click it right away, and I've got some light. And
Yep, you've got some light to get to your flashlights and start up your generator and all that good stuff.
That's good. A couple other things to consider with flashlights: runtime. So, how much time do you actually think you're going to need that light? And then, obviously, that'll determine kind of the size and the type of batteries and such that you're going to need. But I think runtime is not something people really think about a lot. They just think, "Oh, I want a big bright flashlight," and that's it. But realistically, how long do you think you're going to be using it for? Is it going to be just a couple minutes, a couple hours, a couple days, right? And then you need the size accordingly.
Well, I think it's also interesting. A lot of packaging for flashlights now includes runtime as a description. And especially if it's a flashlight that has multiple settings, it'll be high setting, you can get 3 hours out of it. Low setting, you can get 27 hours out of it, or 60 hours. Like, it's a really profound difference. So it's probably worth paying attention to, because most of the time you don't need that high setting. Sure, if you're looking through a cornfield, absolutely. If you're just trying not to trip on the way to the campfire, low setting is more than enough.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about
So
cornfields
Dale-
and trying to get to various spots. Brightness or lumens is also something that you're going to want to look into. And Dale's got a good question in the live
Just
chat.
got a question in the live chat here. Any recommendations for headlamps? Well, I was just talking about the ones I got from sale. They're small, like they take up no space. They're super light. They're LED. They're USB rechargeable. They come with a cord even, so you can just plug it in wherever you've got a USB plug. So I like those. I also have some super bright ones. Now I got those from, I want to say it was Stealth Angel Survival, but they're pretty generic. You can get them on Amazon. There's lots of options out there. My recommendation is either something that is self-contained, like the one that's USB chargeable, or something that fits your AA, AAA, whatever your standard is. Like I've got a headlamp that lives in my like little go bag that goes with me in my in my lunchbox. I got it on clearance at Lowe's. It was made by Craftsman. It has white and red LEDs. It takes AA's, which isn't my favorite, but I bought it kind of before I had this vision of standardization. So I'm not going to get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think it was $18. I've used it, maybe once or twice a year. It does a great job. And like I said, it wasn't expensive. I just keep a couple of batteries in a plastic bag, kind of, wrapped around the head strap. And then when I need it, I've got something right handy.
yeah, I've got something very similar when I'm out grooming with the groomer, and it's just our boss bought them, and they're I think he bought a dozen of them and got a good deal, got paid like $15 for them. But the part that I like about it is that they are the USB rechargeable, and so once you're done, you're finished whatever you're doing, and they last a long time. It's got one bright spotlight, and then just kind of more of a generic illumination on it, and they'll run for a long time before you need to charge them up. So, and it, of course, then you're not worried about hanging onto the flashlight out in the middle of nowhere in the pitch dark when you got to tighten up, do some work on the machine or something.
And like, if you spend time outdoors, don't buy camouflage flashlights. If you drop it and it's off, you want something that's pretty brightly colored to be able to find it. This may or may not be from experience, but if you like, it might look cool to have. You might think it looks cool, but it's cool until you go to look for it. Like I've got Pelican lights that are bright yellow, and are they obnoxious to have kind of sitting around? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but if I drop that, I'm going to be able to find it. Now that said, most of my flashlights are black because that's the color that's available to them. But there's nothing, some of them, I'll take some reflective tape and put a little band around it so I can find it in a dark corner.
Yep. Camouflage is always good until Mother Nature decides she likes your headlamp more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My EDC headlamp is I'm standardized on AAA. I'm happy with that. It's a little waterproof Night Eyes one that does red light also and has a dimming feature, and I find it's just the most versatile, lovely, helpful one. To Pierre's comment in the live chat about adapters for clamping onto hard hats, they also make brim cap ones that you can even just get at Dollarama. So for work, for a hard hat, like I'll just have a little brim light one that has about 5 LEDs in it, runs on a couple of button cell batteries, and sort of accomplishes everything. It's out of the way, doesn't get in the way of the visor of a like a clear visor for an extrication helmet or a chainsaw helmet. So I think those are a handy little option.
Yeah, you don't realize how handy having a light actually on your head, out of your hands, focused on what you're looking at is until you actually start using one. And then you'll never go back.
100%.
Yeah, they're super handy to have, and don't not get a handheld flashlight. Always have that in your kit as well. But yeah, a good light source attached to your head is a fantastic thing to have. A couple other things to think about. So flashlight wise, impact durability. Again, you're going to know more or less what you're going to get involved with and how you're going to be using your light and what kind of environments it's going to be in. But looking at the durability of it is obviously going to play a role. And that also boils down again to what it's made out of. But you're going to want to look at those features for impact durability. And, if you're going to be out bushwhacking a lot, you want something that's going to be a little bit more durable than, just an average light to have on your nightstand in case the power goes out, right? So something you want to watch for.
And if you're going to be, potentially using it as a tool for self-defense, then you probably don't want something that's cheap plastic.
This is true. And water resistance as well. Again, if you're going to be outdoors, you're going to want some kind of water resistant rating on it, because chances are if you're going to be using it outside, there's going to be some form of water or rain or something. So keep in mind your operating environment and where you figure you're going to most likely be using your light, and then plan accordingly. Let's touch on some alternate uses for flashlights. So, of course, there's the obvious use of illuminating things and making it easy to see in the dark. But some other things, we've kind of touched on it already. Obviously, don't plan this out for use in the self-defense situation. But if you find yourself in a less than desirable situation and the only thing you have is a flashlight and it's a weapon of opportunity and it's going to save yourself from any kind of serious bodily harm or somebody else, well, it's there. It's in your hand. You've got it.
Just be sure to call it a tool of opportunity when the police come asking.
Yeah, you didn't purposely plan to have that as a weapon to protect yourself.
It was never intended as a weapon. It was a tool of opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you can hide things in them, right? So say you've got an old light that's not working anymore for whatever reason, it's just stopped working. You can hide some stuff in there, whether it be, if it's say a waterproof body for the flashlight, you can put some matches in there, protect them from the weather. You can hide some cash in a flashlight, anything you can think of, just try and do obscure things.
Also wrap duct tape around the outside to make it more useful, because I've never been in a situation and thought, wow, I wish I didn't have 10 feet of duct tape right now.
This is true. Like 20 feet, 30 feet. But yeah, it's a good spot to kind of obscurely hide things, because who's going to think about, hey, maybe they hid their stuff. Well, now that they put it out on the internet, lots of people are going to think about it, perhaps, at least the 10 of you that are watching. But beyond that, you can hide things in it and place it somewhere that a normal flashlight would be. And then in the unfortunate circumstance of you maybe having somebody rifling through your stuff one day, they might not look at that flashlight because it's just a flashlight. Ambient light as well. So we usually think about using flashlights as a directed source of light. So I want to see that object, I point the light at that object, or I want to see this direction, point the light that direction. But you can take a flashlight and say a plastic bottle filled with water, shine the light through the top and the bottom of the bottle, and then it will disperse the light through the water and make it more of an ambient source versus a direct type of source.
I've done this with a headlamp, where I just put the headlamp around the jug, and I've done that camping. It works great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a nice soft light, and playing cards out by the fire under the stars. It's a great little tool.
Yeah, it throws a nice amount of light out, and it works quite well. Anybody else have anything else to add to the flashlights?
We have a rule in the search team that if we're going to be operating anytime near dark, that we carry like a cheap giveaway flashlight, because most of the cops we work with, they tend to not have flashlights, so we can give them something that we're okay with losing. Home Depot often have like a pack of 8 or 10 really little AAA LEDs with the batteries in a blister pack for $15 or something. So we keep a few of those around that we can just give away, and if they come back, great, and if not, well, who cares?
It's a great point.
Just because if you lend something out, you got to expect to not get it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Across all of your preps, we've always said in previous episodes, always have kind of a throwaway stash or something that you can kind of hand out that you don't expect to see back. It's a great point on flashlights. There's always going to be that person that just doesn't have one. Good point.
And I have the exact same approach, where I have some nice ones and some sort of cheapies that if they don't come back, I've had guests over at the house that walked over and they're going home after dark. Well, here you go. Take, find your way home safely with this. Yep. Or at work, something gets destroyed because whatever, it's one of the cheapy ones. No big deal. I'm okay with that.
Oh, great points.
I'm going to touch on, I love there's a great Pistol Grip Canadian Tire rechargeable spotlight, USB rechargeable, waterproof. I have at least a dozen of them, have them on the boat, have them at most of the doors, the exterior doors of the house, so that if the dogs are outside and there's some sound that isn't right, I instantly have a great big spotlight to take a peek at what's going on. I think they're fantastic. And like all things Canadian Tire, they sort of have a fairly hefty price tag, but those ones go on sale not infrequently. Spoiler alert, that is not the deal of the week this week. 18650s I like, but I don't find them as easy to come by as if I can order them online and have them delivered to my house in good resource aplenty times, awesome. But I worry that if I'm scavenging for stuff after the fact, picture the disaster movie where someone's rifling through the trunk of a car or an old boathouse or something, trying to find something, and odds are there's going to be double A's or triple A's. And if I need to power my carbon monoxide detector, I need to be able to find those batteries. So as long as you have that adapter and you have the option of changing sort of more options, but I look at AA and AAA and just how readily available they are. So that's something that's important to me. I'll defer to Alan here to retort my point.
No, that's absolutely correct. Like you have to have that adapter, otherwise they're pretty well useless. And because there's like 3.7 volts instead of 1.5, like you can't even do the old tinfoil thing where you pack the rest of the space with a conductor and put the battery in. Like it simply won't work. So no, you're 100% right that if you don't have a good stock, and that's, if you don't have a good stock of them, then you're in trouble, because I don't think I've ever seen 18650 batteries or tools that use 18650 batteries on a retail shelf anywhere. Maybe that's just where I shop, but you can buy AA, AAA batteries at the at
Anywhere.
every gas station, every dollar store, every drugstore, literally everywhere. You can buy AA, AAAs, but those ones are definitely harder to come by. So I mean, I've got, I think, 14 batteries between the two of us, and then most of our search team is on 18650s. So we're kind of standardized for what we use it for. I think it's great. Now I also have another maybe dozen or so flashlights that I have at home, and they're all AAA. For that reason, right? So yep. I can either power the big flashlights with the AAAs, or I can just power my standard lights, like my little O light that I carry it just lives in my pocket on a daily basis. It's a single AAA battery. My the headlamps that aren't USB rechargeable, they run on AAAs, except for that one that I have that just kind of lives in the nether regions of my closet, right, of my kits, because it's just there. But if I'm buying something, I'm aiming at AAA.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yep.
Denny's got another good point here in the live chat, just in regards to another battery type we haven't touched on yet, is the CR123s. So they're small little guys.
Those used to be camera batteries way back in the day.
Yep.
And
and I've seen them pretty standard in flashlights for a while now. And they pack quite a punch, the flashlights that use them.
Absolutely, but those are spendy batteries, and they're not rechargeable. Well, the last ones that I got were not rechargeable anyway. So
I have actually seen those at Dollarama before, and I was pleasantly surprised, because just for some of the like remotes that use them, that sort of thing, it's hard to come by, but nice when you find them.
Yep. Neat.
In terms of preps, having disposable batteries around is great. Having the ability to recharge them, I think, is very important. Mm-hmm. Realistically, if we're in a resource limited situation, whatever I have on my property is what I have access to. So I've got some disposable batteries. Amazing. If I have rechargeables and have sunlight or a generator or a dynamo hand crank or a wood gasifier, I have a way of, obviously, I have a way of recharging those batteries, and they are a vessel for energy that I can collect from somewhere else. That being said, and I'm going to put this out to the audience at large, there was a time when they were advertising an alkaline battery recharger. And I don't have any experience with these, but I want to put it out to the audience. Has anyone used one of these, where they're made to recharge disposable batteries? In theory, you get maybe 10 or 12 life cycles out of them. Not as much as a regular, but if we're in a resource limited situation and you can track down some dead batteries, those are of no value to anyone else. All of a sudden, they're a huge value to you. So I'll sort of put that out to the audience. If you have experience, please let us know. feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. I'm interested in getting one, because I think that'd be a useful bit to my preps, but I don't have any knowledge, so I'm asking smarter people than me.
Yeah, I'd never heard of such a thing.
Well, I've heard of it. I've never seen one. I have no experience with it. I believe that they exist, at least on a theoretical level. Something had to charge that thing in the first place, so it makes sense that it's the right electronic process or the right chemical process could recharge it. But I've never seen one in practice, so I can't comment on it. But yeah, I'd love to hear if such a thing actually exists and if it's usable.
So
I bet that Ian could find one on CPP or CGN.
Probably
if he ever bothered to show up. Don't know if anybody noticed, but he's not here again tonight.
That guy.
He's not here?
That guy. Exactly.
Your alter ego.
The CGN guy.
Yeah, the other guy. Yeah.
I realize that lead acid batteries are probably impractical for flashlights, but I do want to touch on them where you have lead acid batteries and you can get a battery maintainer. A buddy of mine has a cottage that's totally off grid. You make sure he does his solar cell battery, his deep cycle batteries with a maintainer, just to really extend that life and keep them healthy. That being said, looking at some of the rechargeable batteries, like for our portable radios at work, they hit end of service life because we charge them so frequently, and they are a limited commodity. They don't recharge forever. So sort of bearing in mind keeping those rechargeable batteries healthy, storing batteries with a charge. Most batteries, the easiest way to kill a rechargeable battery is just ignore it. Leave it alone for a year. It's going to be hurting. So in terms of that rechargeable battery service life, just being aware of, you do have a limited number of charges on these things. When I'm sure we've all noticed when our cell phone batteries, that built-in battery in your cell phone drops really quickly and charges really quickly. Well, it's just got less capacity. It's charging really quickly because it's only got half the capacity. So of course it takes half as long to charge. Yep. So in terms of tempering expectations, what we're sort of thinking of with rechargeable batteries, just bearing that in mind.
And speaking of panelists that don't bother to show up, I see Brad in the live chat mentioning that he used to have one of those chargers years ago. They were pretty good, but you had to use the good batteries or the best batteries. No dollar store specials. So,
all right, good to know.
I'll have to pick Brad's brain the next time he decides to actually show up and not just lurk in the comments.
This is why I ask smarter people than me questions.
Yeah, and a lot of those batteries, and I'm not sure what type they were, but we used to use them in our portable radios and stuff. They would get a memory. So if you were always doing, if they were supposed to last, say 15 or 16 hours, but you were always doing an 8-hour shift, and you would turn it off and charge it, and turn it off and charge it, and turn it every time after, it would get a memory and say, hey, it's been 8 hours. I'm dead now. So.
Yep. Yeah, the old nickel metal hydride were like that. They were like the early rechargeables, and they had that really awful memory. All the old power tools like the DeWalt, Bosch, Milwaukee, all those power tools used to run on those nickel metal hydride, and that was brutal. Like you'd see guys walk into the charging station, and they were just running their drill, running every ounce of power out of it that they could to try and get the most charge. So it's not so much a thing anymore with lithium ion, but with the old style, it certainly was.
And I see in the live chat here why Brad's not on the panel this evening. He's attending a Can Openers Operators Anonymous meeting. So good for you, Brad.
It's hard admitting you need help. One hack that I'd like to touch on is. Forever ago, someone told me, if you need, I want to say AA batteries, if you look at the X-ray of a 6-volt lantern battery, it's basically just a whole bunch of AA batteries all soldered together. Likewise, most rechargeable batteries in everything from a Tesla car to your power tool pack probably contains 18650 cells that are just soldered together to make whatever voltage they need as rechargeable lithium ion batteries. So if you're in a situation where you're scavenging trying to put something together, that, it's a 6-volt lantern battery. Oh, wait a minute. All of a sudden, it's actually a bunch of smaller useful components that you can sort of repurpose elsewhere with a little work.
All kinds of fun stuff you can do with batteries.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually going to bring up that, flashlights are nice, but if your power's out, it's nice to have something maybe a little bit bigger that will illuminate a whole room instead of one specific area. So I've got a rechargeable lantern that just just for that purpose, hang it off of a door opening somewhere or something, and it's a lot better to just give you general illumination as opposed to a specific point for a flashlight.
No, good point. Yeah, there's all
one
kinds of
final safety measure: 9-volt batteries. Don't lick them.
Oh, come on!
It's a great way to test whether there's any juice left in it or not. If your milk tastes like copper,
there's
it's
juice.
got some power left to it. Yeah. Which are also AAA batteries, right? Like a 9-volt battery is AAA batteries run series.
There you go. Learn something new every day. Don't lick windows and don't lick batteries. Got it.
Well, I mean, for you, we have to temper our expectations. Like the windows are. If you have to not lick one of them, the windows are the safer bet.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
And on that happy note, hey Jeff, how about the weather?
I was gonna say, how about we move to the podcast challenge? Then we'll get to the weather. So the podcast challenge for this evening is lick a 9-volt battery and let us know how it goes. No, find a form of light that you can keep with you daily, and then let us know what you find. If it's powered by 9-volt batteries, great. If it's powered by a can opener crank, even better. And yeah, let us know.
If it doesn't produce carbon monoxide, you get 2 extra points.
There you go.
By the way, there's points.
It's like whose lines anyway? Points for nothing.
Let's move into the weather blurb for Jeff.
So the hurricane season that hasn't been is finally starting to show some signs that it's going to pick up some steam. The forecasters take it for who they are, keep saying it's going to be an above average season. We'll have to see. There presently are tropical storm warnings in effect for parts of Texas and Mexico, which is good for them. They've been through a pretty significant drought. Unfortunately, it's not going to move north and west enough to help out with the Lake Mead situation and all that. So there's not much they can do for that. I did put a link into an article from the Washington Post for that. For us in Canada, the heat that's been stuck over the prairies, Alberta and Saskatchewan for the last couple of days is starting to break. The problem with the heat, of course, is it has started several wildfires. So there are several places with air quality warnings due to the smoke. We're not anticipating any extreme weather, aka tornadoes, for anywhere in Canada this week. Again, that can always change. There are risks for isolated severe storms Wednesday. What's going on right now, if you're anywhere in the GTA or northern GTA, York, Durham, all that kind of area, there is a whole bunch of very slow moving, dropping a ton of rain storms. And I'm getting all kinds of reports of flooding, flooded basements, flooded roads. Remember, if you're driving and you come across a road that's covered in water, don't keep going. Turn around, find another way to go. You don't know how deep the water is. You don't know how quick it's moving. It only takes a few inches of water to actually put a vehicle in motion and run you right off the road. So anybody who's in the States...
But let me know so I can point and laugh.
Yeah. Anybody in the States, U.S. is looking for a good weather resource. Check out a guy named Ryan Hall. He goes by Ryan Hall, y'all. I've put a link to his YouTube channel in the show notes here. He's pretty up on what's going on with U.S. weather. He's connected with a whole bunch of top name storm chasers, and he's a good resource. Anything's coming, he'll usually give you a couple days notice of what's coming. He'll live stream with when weather's really bad. He's a very, very good resource down there. I wish we had something that good up here. Instant Weather Ontario is pretty good. They're my go-to up here, but Ryan's got them beat.
You're my go-to, Jeff.
Pardon?
You're my go-to.
Yep. I just wait for you to post something in our Signal group.
Yep.
And outside of that, that's about it for that.
All right. Right, we got a deal of the week, do we, Scott?
Well, conveniently, Canadian Tire this week has
Flashlights, flashlights.
batteries. Well, they do have lots of flashlights.
Nope.
Just watch for when that trigger one goes on, the pistol grip one goes on sale. It's fantastic. They've got a 40-pack of AA's or a 30-pack of AAA alkaline disposable, the Noma brand, 40% off. Honestly, I don't think you can ever have too many batteries. So, yeah, I think that's a great little go-to.
Very nice.
Batteries are like ammo. It's only too many when you're trying to swim.
I'm not going to go there. So, shout outs this week. Anybody? No shout outs? All right. The inbox was dry. And as far as iTunes or any kind of reviews across podcast land, there were no written reviews. So, nothing to read out for this section.
However, was there not a, that I read somewhere, there was a list of top podcasts and we're like number 3 or 4 on the list?
Yeah, that was mentioned in the Discord, I believe. And we did make the list, and I don't remember which list it was, but it was a list and we were on it.
Self-help.
Back in December, I want to say we were number 6 on somebody's top 10 prepper podcasts, and it was like we were up there with like the casual preppers and prepping 2.0 and a whole bunch of other guests that we've had, like the Dr. Alton, the Doom and Bloom show. Like there were that was a pretty elite list.
Yeah.
And I think we were all pretty proud to be on that one. So I don't know if that's the same list or not.
I think it was a more updated one, but there were similar names on it. So
fantastic!
It's good to see. It's really nice to see that that we're making our way up the list with some of the big players. So
yep, absolutely,
kind of cool. Well, with that, I will bring episode number 174 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please do help us out. Submit a review. It does help other people find us and gets us on lists that we want to be on.
And we do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the show, and if you want to be in the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. We love hearing the comments in the live chat, and we love getting them on there. Putting them up on the screen, or you'll hear about them if you're a listener instead of a watcher. If you want to contact me, you can get me at Alan, that's with 1L, at prepperpodcast.ca. Once in a while, I even actually check that email.
And if you want to reach me, you can just send a generic message to feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, and Eric will send the carrier pigeon out at some point to get it to me.
Possibly. We'll see.
Like Jeff, I'm not responsible enough to have my own email address, so feedback@prepperpodcast.ca works for Scott, or you can come find me in the Discord group.
I will deliver mail to Scott, no problem.
Thanks, buddy.
No worries. So please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.